I think I was just up one night really late and I was searching like, how do I get out the Navy and make money? Or how do I kill my job or fire my boss? I was like searching stuff like, how do I make money online? Entrepreneurship is, I'll first and be honest and tell you, it's not for the faint of heart. You get what you put into it. And I could get all of their information I could get information that you don't think you can get from somebody. I can get it with just their name, email, phone. This tech basically allows you to reveal exactly who can afford you and who can't, so your sales team can focus on the people that actually have money. You got into business to make money. If the business isn't making money, you don't have a business. There's two doors. Door number one is the life as you know it, the same life, the same circumstances, the same job, the same money, all the same stuff. You're miserable there, but you're certain of what you're gonna get. So you're gonna keep choosing door number one. That's what most people do. However, door number two.
Welcome to another episode of Access Granted, where I give you exclusive access to entrepreneurs who are killing it in their industry. I'm so excited because I get to introduce you guys to somebody who is just changing the way entrepreneurs are growing their business, getting access to funding and leveraging their business, and going to the next level. Doug, thank you so much for being a part of this today.
Yeah, absolutely.
I am super excited. So let's just dive right into it. Can you tell the audience a little bit about you and how you got started on this entrepreneur journey?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I was in the Navy for 10 years, right? So I served active duty as a hospital corpsman. I got to see and do a lot of amazing things all over the world. But there was a deployment, one specific deployment that I went on that kind of like changed the trajectory and kind of like my mindset is I went out on a humanitarian mission to Papua New Guinea, Fiji, and the Philippines. And we went out there and we were like building schools for kids, rendering all like this free medical aid. It was like an incredible experience. And it was some of the best work I've ever done, like as a human being, you know what I'm saying? Like, so, my whole time, and I also add like my whole time in the military, I understood how to win and make rank and make more money, and I was able to basically gamify the system. And the formula was very, very simple. It was help other people excel their careers. That was it, so my junior sailors, any kind of events or programs I took on, anything that I did or built, I always took them with me, And, I got the awards, I got the, the rank and more pay, but also they did too. So, so I say that because I went on that deployment as in the humanitarian mission, did some incredible work. And then by that point in my career, I was about 5.5 years in, and I got promoted to E6, which is, it's kind of like a really high level supervisor position. I could be in charge of like hundreds of people. It takes the average person like 12 years to get there, and I did it in 5 years. So
wow.
It's just to show you like how fast I was moving in the ranks, but I understood the game, So I get back from that deployment, I really started to shift my mindset around what my value of my time was, so anyone that like works a job or anything like that, or has a business, you have a completely different understanding of like what your time value is versus like working a 9 to 5, right? So I started to listen to people from like Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar. And Zig Ziglar has this quote, it's help enough people get what they want and you can have all you want in life. And
that's good.
When I read that, I was like, man, that hits me like that, because that's been my whole military career. So I wanted to basically figure out how do I create my own economy, make my own money, so that I could give to foundations, charities, not just with my time, but financially too, and help kids, and that's what I really wanted to do. So I initially got in, I think I was just up one night really late, and I was searching like, how do I, get out the Navy and make money, or how do I kill my job or fire my boss? I was like searching stuff like, how do I make money online, And it landed me on figuring out how to learn SEO, search engine optimization. That's when you rank websites really high on Google and people start to search for that kind of business, and you're like the number 1 or 2 person at the top. So I got into that, and after about 3 or 4 months, I had over 20 local business clients paying me anywhere between, $500 to $2,000 a month. And I was doing really well. And then, and then all of a sudden, Google releases this algorithm update. It was called the Penguin update, but we call it the Penguin Killer, because it basically destroys people that are using these black hat strategies. And I didn't know any better. I was learning from some guy on YouTube. He's like, this is how you do it. And turns out it was frowned upon by Google, the strategy, right? So needless to say, I lost my business overnight, and I was making like 30, 40 grand a month, something like that after about 4 months.
Wow.
So I immediately had to pivot into online traffic, of more so paid traffic. So running ads on Facebook, Google, doing lead generation that way. And I had over 20 clients. Most of them, all of them except for 3, basically gave me the middle finger. So the 3, I started to run ads. Was horrible at first. I got results for 1 client, a limousine party bus company. They ended up making like an extra 30K. They cut me a check for like 6K. And yeah, I mean, from there, I was able to scale up, and I created a coaching company, did a whole bunch of amazing things. So
that is a lot. That is
Yeah.
a lot. But I love that, one, that you made it your mission to always give back. We just did something amazing. I partnered with Nehemiah and his foundation, and Councilman Michael Bonds and the first African CDC, and we fed over 400 families.
Nice.
And that was my first time truly, I've done, I fed the homeless, and I've done toy drives, but that was my first time just being in a space where I was feeding and making an impact to like thousands of people. We fed 400 families, but when you think about it, the average household has 3 to 4 people in it, right?
Yeah.
So thousands of people where we were truly able to make an impact. And it sparked something in me. It was like, I got to do this again and again and again, especially when you're in the space to where you truly can make it happen. Like, giving back is really the key. I think the key of just who I am and how I can help people. But most importantly, I remember being with my grandmother as a kid, and we were in the line at a food drive that was very similar to that. So being able to make that connection of, now I'm in this space to where I can give back, I feel like I just have to do so much more. So I love that you touched on that. And then just bringing your team with you, bringing your people with you is always huge. You also talked about, just being able to pivot from the Navy to entrepreneurship. And I'm sure there's somebody watching this now that's in the military, and they're in that space where I got to figure out what's next. I'm ready to retire, or retirement is coming up, or maybe they feel like the journey isn't for them. What are some key things or some advice that you would give to the person that's watching this right now, and they want to pivot and they want to go into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I mean, entrepreneurship is, I'll first and be honest and tell you, it's not for the faint of heart, I mean, it is, you get what you put into it, when I was in the Navy, I was working, I mean, essentially it's a 9-to-5 job, but it's a lot more than that. It's like, you're tied to the base 1 weekend a month, and you could be deployed and go anywhere, right? And you kind of sacrifice a lot of your liberties and stuff. So, but, I got to the point where, like, I wanted to do more. I wanted to provide more. I wanted to have a family and come and go as I please, right? And for me, pivoting away from the military was my way of saying, like, my time is worth way more than the Navy's willing to pay, to have me there. So, just real quick back to like the story of where I left off of, like, doing the lead generation company and kind of rebounding and scaling back up. The reason why I got into coaching and consulting was because I started to train and teach other people how to do these skill sets too. And just like the question you're asking me, like, what advice can I give to other people doing that? Well, I had people coming up to me in uniform saying things like, hey, I've been in the Navy for 20 plus years. I don't want to go sit in a classroom full of 19-year-olds when I get out. How do you do this? How do you teach me? How are you making money? So I think that, you have to really start with, like, what are you solving for, right? And what's the problem you're trying to solve? And is the conviction of you trying to weather the storm through that to get to a solution more powerful? Because it's not going to be easy. You're going to wake up every day, and there's going to be times where, like, crap, I don't know if this is the right thing. I don't know if I should, if I have what it takes to do this. But, if your conviction, if the reasons why you're doing something is strong enough, like, I want to be able to feed my family, I want to be able to travel, I really want to be able to come and go as I please, I want to have a new house, all of these things, you have to live that lifestyle. You have to show up and say, hey, things are going to get tough. There's going to be times where I don't want to, make the phone call. I don't want to do the sales call. I don't want to, generate leads. whatever. But those are the things that are required. You know, it's not like you didn't get into this because you're like, hey, I'm going to dip my toe and see what the temperature is like. No, you have to go all the way in. Like when you take a cold bath, have you ever did a cold plunge?
Yes.
If you dip your toe in there and you're like, hey, is this really cold? You're going to want to jump out. Your mental survival is going to jump in your mind, and you're going to jump out. So you really need to just take the plunge full time. And, there's a quote that I really love from Virginia Satir. She says, most people choose the certainty of misery to the misery of uncertainty. Right? So the way I hear that, it's like there's two doors. Door number one is the life as you know it, the same life, the same circumstances, the same job, the same money, all the same stuff, but you're miserable there, but you're certain of what you're going to get. So you're going to keep choosing door number one. That's what most people do. However, door number two is the certainty of misery, right? No, sorry. Door number one, certainty of misery, and door number two is the misery of uncertainty. Right? So behind door number two is all your goals, dreams, aspirations, all the things that you want to do and achieve. But you're uncertain what you're going to get behind door number two, right? So it's a miserable feeling. You don't want to choose that one, but everything that you could ever want is on the other side of that door. So you have to continue to choose every single day door number two, because that's where everything's at. So that's kind of how I live my life, and I didn't get into this game to start. There's been times where in my business I had incredible months and I made millions of dollars, and there's other times where I've lost millions of dollars, right? And I have had so many reasons to quit. I think a normal person probably would look at my last decade, and if we were to map it out on a board, there was probably at least a dozen or more times where like, that's a good reason to quit. That's a good reason to quit. But I'm just, no, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm here for this. I'm here for all of it. So you have to have that mentality going into it, so my kids, my wife, they're big drivers to what I do every day. So, you just got to have that conviction. In so many words, you got to have the conviction to weather the storm.
It's remembering that why, like why you got into it, why you started, and how to keep pushing and going forward. Do you think your background in the military positioned you to just be strong enough to have that mentality to keep pushing forward? And do you think it equated to just you being a strong entrepreneur and just building $1 million brand?
Here's the thing. The military is, it's my opinion that everyone should do at least 2 years in the military.
Really?
Here's the thing. Like you learn things like, integrity, respect for others, just general things that you think every human has on earth. But as soon as you go right outside, go to any local store, get in your car and drive, you start to realize, wow, a lot of people don't have these common things that you and I might have for each other, right? And sometimes it might take us decades. There's people walking around in their 40s and 50s and 60s that still don't have these basic principles, right? And then you look at their lifestyle, you look at what their accomplishments are, and it's kind of like on the low end, right? So, and that's not to say, eventually everyone's on their own journey, they're going to figure it out, but the things that you get when you go to boot camp really accelerate your self-discipline, understanding your self-worth, respect for others, the leadership principles, everything that you get is so easily translatable to business that I did think that it helped put me on like a faster track because of my success. But I think the thing that really pushed me to have the success that I did have probably wasn't, the Navy helped out, but I think it was before that. Because when I grew up, my childhood, I was a kid that was like, unfortunately I lived in a household where there was physical, verbal abuse, and there was, abuse of like drugs and alcohol, and, my father, unfortunately, I watched him, run around with other women, do all kinds of crazy things. So I lived in a really tough life. There was times where like I didn't know if I was going to eat that night. There was times that I didn't know if my dad was going to get in, bust down my door and beat me. I think from that dramatic experience, that really pushed me. I grew up in a very chaotic environment. I didn't have stability, right? So I think ever since I've gotten to be a man and have my own money and do my own things, I've been fighting to have stability and consistency and predictability, because I had the opposite of that when I was a child, right? So really that's been more of like the driving factor and probably how I show up. And yeah, the Navy certainly added. Everything's been like a tool to put on my tool belt up until this point in life. I'm 37. I still have incredible things that I want to do and build that I will. But yeah, the Navy has certainly helped. But I think your childhood and your traumas and all those things definitely, they can make or break someone. You know, they can make or break someone. I have had people that have the opposite effect where they're a subject of their upbringing, unfortunately. But those are things that you need to really look in. It's all about looking in the mirror, not looking through a window. Recognize your own choices, your own decisions, your own human behavior, and then modifying it to get a better result. You know, because here's the thing: every system is designed to get a result. No matter what the system is, it's designed to get a result. You can't change the system, but you can modify the inputs you put into the system. Okay, businesses are the same. The tax code is the same. You can't change the tax code. But if you want to save money, go buy real estate, go buy assets, go put everything on your AMX, write it all off. Now you're changing the inputs and now you're going to pay less in taxes, right? Just to give you an example. So think about the inputs you're putting into the system.
Oh, that's amazing. That was good. Thank you for that. So you have built, and I know you have several companies under your umbrella, but we met this weekend, and you talked about a program that you have called LeadFi. And as you were talking about this program, I'm like, this is going to truly help me in my business and truly be able to help me figure out who my target audience is and how much they have to spend. And so I'm super excited about that. Do you mind just sharing what LeadFi is and how we can use it as entrepreneurs?
Absolutely. I will share. Let me share how I got to this, because I think it's so important to understand the genesis story. So I got into coaching consulting. I mentioned that earlier. I ended up scaling my coaching consulting business to over 15,000 students. We did over 100 million in revenue. I spent over 30 million on ads to do it. And I sold packages all the way up to 50K. So I tell you that not to boast, okay? But to say, I got sick of broke leads. I got sick of bad leads, okay? I spent a lot of money on ads. There was times where my marketing team says, hey, the leads are great. You know, we're optimizing for the application where people say they make at least $4,000 or more a month, okay? Depending on, you know, relying on them to tell us the truth, right? The sales team on the other hand is like, hey, 80% of the calls we're taking can't afford $5,000 or more, you know? So it was like a lot of that back and forth. And I got to the point where like, I was kind of tired of it, you know? Like I mentioned earlier, I had months, I was spending like $1 million a month at one point on ads at my peak. And, you know, there was months that I would lose over $1 million, or months I would, you know, break even. Those months I would lose a couple $1 million. It was like insane. I was actually looking at it, you couldn't look at it month over month, because with high ticket, if you're selling anything high ticket, like 5, 10K or more, the sales cycle for something like that could be, you know, 3 to 6 weeks. So if you're looking at a monthly P&L, the averages might, you know, spill over. You might look crappy this month, but then like look really good the next month. But my sales cycle was getting so long because I was selling high ticket, 25K plus, that I had to look at it quarterly. So I might have 2 really bad months and have a crazy good month, like, you know? So, but there was one time where like the quarter plus another month was like down. And I was like, this is not okay, especially at this level, right? So that forced me to say, what can we do? And I knew credit check is not new. You know, people do that if you go buy a home, get a car, right? I was like, I want to bring that to the internet marketing space. I want to do it on my people. Is it legal? Is it compliant? You know, how do we figure it out? So I had a partner that that's been in finance for like 20 years doing underwriting. I got with him. I'm like, hey, I want to credit check, you know, my leads. He's like, what information are you getting? Well, I'm just getting their name, email, phone number. Is that possible? He's like, no, dude, you need address and date of birth and other things, right? So what we did was we actually created and we have PhDs as well. So this is not something like just anyone can do and take a lot of time, a lot of money. But basically, we created an identity verification technology where we put the name, email, phone in there, and then it finds their true identity. And I could get all of their information I could get information that you don't think you can get from somebody. I can get it with just their name, email, phone. And then what I do is I go to the credit bureaus like Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, and we just soft pull them from there. Boom. So now we got their credit score, how much money they can spend on their credit cards. We got their annual income, debt to income ratio. And then since my partner does underwriting, we take the full credit report and all those numbers I just mentioned, and then we underwrite and deliver pre-approvals for all kinds of stuff, for credit cards, for like Klarna, Firm, Afterpay, bank loans, mortgage, all kinds of stuff. And this is all happening in real time. So like, let's say, for example, you're running ads to book a call funnel to sell a $10,000 product, okay, coaching package or whatever. All right, so the lead comes in, they opt in, name, email, phone number, boom, you just API it up to us at LeadFi, we enrich it with the data, and we send it right back to your CRM. So now inside the CRM, in the contact record of John Smith or Mary Daniels or whoever they are, you can see all of that information in the CRM, like for Go High Level, Entreport, Zoho, Salesforce, whatever CRM you might be using. And then from there, we can do some really cool stuff. We can like keep only people that are qualified on your calendar. So when they click to book a call, if they have to have access to 10 grand or more, they'll be able to book a call. If they don't have the money, you can push them to like a low ticket offer. You could run ads with it with 700 plus credit scores. So you can do all kinds of really cool stuff. But yeah, this tech basically allows you to reveal exactly who can afford you and who can't, so your sales team can focus on the people that actually have money.
That's amazing. So you created the problem solver is what I want to call it. So where I can be able to know exactly who I'm talking to on the other end, if they can afford the program that I have to offer.
Yeah.
This is great. How can the audience get access to LeadFi? Is this something that's out there? Is it available for entrepreneurs who have a coaching program and high ticket offers, or who is the target audience for LeadFi, and how can they connect with you?
Yeah, so I mean, we have over 100 brands on it now. They're all either in the multi 6, 7 figure or even 9 figure range actually at this point. Yeah, I mean, all they would need to do to get access to it, and well, to tell you too, it's mainly people, because I've been in the coaching consulting space for the last decade, and I've done all the speaking gigs and all that. I built up a really good network, and so I work with a lot of people that do like high ticket coaching. They sell high ticket, typically $3,000 or more. Okay, up to crazy numbers. But it's either coaching, consulting, info products, courses, stuff like that. They might do book of calls, they might do webinars, they might do challenges or product launches, stuff like that. But that's really who I work with. But it doesn't just work in our bubble of internet marketing, it also works in brick and mortar. I mean, if they're plastic surgeons, if they're selling roofing, solar, mortgage, we do pre-approvals for mortgage. Real estate, if you're trying to, so here's another data set we can get. We can actually get total investable assets and total retirement assets. So if you want to know somebody's net worth, if they're a accredited investor or not, I can get you like their 401k, IRA, ETF, stocks, bonds, CDs. Yeah, and look, all of this is legal, all of this is compliant, and I'll just say we follow TCPA and the Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Love it.
And then that's how we get it. But yeah, I think my website's leadfi.ai. That's LEADFI.ai, and they could just book a call and speak with us.
Awesome. All right. Before I let you go, do you mind sharing 3 pieces of advice to help an entrepreneur scale their business to an 8-figure business?
To 8 figures.
7, 8, 6, 7, 8 figures. 3 pieces of advice.
Okay. Well, I was going to go super strategic, but I'm going to take it. I'm going to say one thing, always be honest and have integrity in all you do. Okay. No matter what, like that's not a sexy, like targeting for Facebook or anything, but like, I got to tell you, the second that you start to say things that aren't true, bend the truth, or tell these like little white lies, like things get around, people talk, and then our circle's like really small, and, so always tell the truth, no matter what you're doing. Always do right by other people. And in that same note, take care of your people too. Like find good people, good talent, and pay them well and take care of them. That's how you get ahead. Like you're not going to do this alone, right? The people that say they're self-made millionaires, I respect the fact that they think they're a self-made millionaire, but I also say that's bullshit in my opinion. Because guess what? We have taken advice and mentorship from many people in our life, even if it's our parents, even if it's an author or some kind of coach. We watched their YouTube video online. Okay. We're all here learning. We're not here just coming up with like these things, right? We're all inspired from other things. But I'll also say, integrity is big. I'd say find leverage other people is really important. Get a daily P&L. Okay. So you got into business to make money. Okay. If the business isn't making money, you don't have a business, right? So, you need to figure out how to quickly find your way to profit, right? So be very discerning on who you hire, what softwares you might buy or purchase. Like, are they really going to produce is LeadFi really going to produce a return? Yes, it will. We have, 30% return on 30% increases on revenue on average, clients doing a 2x. But anyway, look at those things. I would say get someone that is really good at finances, right? Like a really high level CFO, and have them give you a P&L every single day, right? So if you're running traffic, if you're doing sales, look at those numbers every single day. That's actually been really big for me because there was time I was kind of like the guy that was like, my team would be like, hey, hire this guy, he can do this, or hey, buy this tool, it costs this. I'm like, 25K, 30K, sure, tell me where to sign, boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden you get the thing and like it didn't work or didn't deliver, so like really know who you're doing business with. Be careful who you sleep with in business. Consider every relationship like a marriage, right? These are people that you're having really close connections and you're trying to build an empire and make money with. And make sure that you do background checks. Make sure that you understand where they came from. Did they come with references? What did they build? What did they do? Or are they just saying that I did these things? No, have proof. Have everyone take a DISC test and a Colby test. Know what their personality is and know if they're a visionary, if they're an implementer, if they're an analytical kind of person, right? If you're hiring people or even going to partnerships, have your wife take it. This will really understand the dynamic between you two and make sure that you guys are showing up in your right roles, right? So gave a lot of advice there, but those are probably some of the biggest things that I tell people when they're getting into business. So
awesome. Thank you. That was amazing. I appreciate you for just taking time out of your busy day to just come in and share value with my audience. This has been another amazing episode of Access Granted. Doug, if you want to look at the camera and tell the audience where they can find you and how they can connect with you. Yeah,
absolutely. So just go over to Instagram and type in Douglas James. I should be the first one with the blue check. And then, my website is leadfi.ai. Yeah.
Awesome, you guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.